Greetings family, welcome back to the channel. This is Choices Tarot and Dreams, and we're going to be doing a monthly reading for the star sign of Virgo. That's Sun, Moon and Rising for the month of July 2026. What can you tell us for Virgo for July 2026? Let's see what we got. Okay, so let me just pull out a 2 as well. Judgment. So this is a simple past, present and future. Again, it's not directed specifically to any individual or any specific individual. Right, and then you've got the High Priestess as well, just for a deeper interpretation, a deeper look into what we're dealing with here for the month of July. So let me just line this up. Past, present, future. And then you got High Priestess. Alright, so Virgo, what have you got going on, Virgo? Has there been, is there anything sort of transformational going on with you leading into this month? Is there anything sort of transformational going on with you internally? Maybe you're getting downloads from the universe, like a spiritual download, just information that's coming to you. It could be sort of a, like an epiphany type of thing, like a light bulb kind of moment or moments that you have been having. Or it could be sort of a slow, subtle, just ideas generally sort of coming to you, culminating into sort of higher perspectives. Has there been any sort of event that has happened, or a situation, or something that you've even witnessed that has caused you to look at things on a deeper level? Because it seems that there's a big picture perspective here that's going on with you, or maybe you're coming into this month with that kind of energy. There's a big picture view that you're taking, and maybe something has happened that has caused you or led you to ask the deeper questions of life. With the High Priestess here as well, and when we talk about judgment, it's interesting that this card was called the Judgment. In reality, in the deepest spiritual teachings, judgment refers to a religious idea, right? It's eschatology, it's biblical, it's eschatology, it's revelations. There's a final sort of mass judgment event, a one-time event where all souls are judged. But the reality is in the deeper, in the spiritual traditions and teachings, the mystical teachings of the world, there was never any judgment anywhere. Maybe a review is more of an appropriate term. There's a review that happens, so you go through life, and after each single lifetime that you have, there's a review process. And then in that review, there's a sort of an evaluation, what have you done, what have you learned, and all of that type of stuff. There's an accounting that goes on. Maybe that's more of an appropriate term. And then based on that review, how you move forward, it's going to determine how you move forward from there. So there's something transformational in that, you're having higher perspectives here, It's also interesting that you've got the King, and you've got here, look, something in the past. You've got St. George's Cross here. And if you know the story of George and the Dragon, right? George and the Dragon, and then the King, and then the King's daughter. That's one, you can interpret it, you can give that interpretation, I mean, that way too. It's interesting that, but then that's tied into it too, if you understand the true meaning of the story. I'm not going to get into that, but it's interesting that you've got that. There's something deeper going on with you here, man. There's something much more, this is much more on a spiritual level. Even with the King of Pentacles, you know, the King of Pentacles is sort of like the wise teacher. You know, you've been through life, you've gone through the trials and errors, you've built businesses, you've suffered many losses. You've probably had, like, you know, 5, 6, 7 businesses that have failed, but each failure has given you the knowledge that you need to succeed. You see what I'm saying? And there's no sort of, you know, your business has failed. You know, this is the third time that it's the third business that has failed, and you don't put your head in your hands and, you know, indulge in self-pity like some people would, but you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, you know, you pop your collar and you keep moving forward. And eventually, you know, you learn from your mistakes, and through trial and error, through many mistakes that you've made, you've learned. And eventually, you know, that you develop a business, you create a business that ultimately becomes super successful, lucrative, and that sets you up. But now you have that level of knowledge and wisdom that, you know, people come to you for advice because you have that. And it's through experience that you have that level of knowledge to impart, you know, and the knowledge that you then use to create success and stability and, you know, security for yourself, financial and material abundance. And you have that. And that's the energy for this month. But it's interesting, you know, that idea of, you know, learning from your mistakes and all of that. But you've also got the judgment there as well, or, you know, a review. The deepest spiritual teachings were about, you know, learning from your mistakes, not making the same mistakes, but learning and growing. It's a process of growth, of evolution, spiritual evolution. And then in the future, so that's the energy for this month. So you're moving into this month with a higher perspective. You know, it's a big picture perspective that you're coming into this month with. So whatever has happened, it's causing you to think about these things. It's interesting. This is very expansive, very expansive. It's too expansive for a general reading. You know, really, for to give you a more accurate, a more sort of, you know, if we have a one-to-one reading, then of course I'm going to be able to, you know, hone in on what layer of interpretation really applies to you and your situation. You see what I'm saying? But it's difficult to do that with these cards in a general reading, because you can go off in many different areas, you can go off on many different pathways, you know, you can give many different interpretations with this reading. It's very expansive, it's very deep. So what I'm getting for you this month is there is a deep spiritual undercurrent here. You're being given messages here from the universe. The future coming up, you know, going beyond this month, and you're revisiting the past. In some way, it could be positive. Maybe you're just nostalgic. Maybe you're remembering the innocence. Maybe you've set yourself up here that you've got the time and the space to do, you know, to go back and revisit the past. Maybe there are things that still need to be understood. Maybe there are things that still need to be learned. Maybe there's unfinished business. Maybe it's just something positive that you're just, you know, a happy memory or something. Maybe somebody from the past comes up and visits you again. Or maybe it's an event or a situation that comes up to visit you again in a similar way that the judgment has come for you. You know what I mean? And that sounds kind of crazy, right? But what I'm saying is that you know, the ideas, the things that you're thinking about, these things have come to you. You see what I'm saying, right? With the idea, you're thinking about these things. There's something internal going on with you. Look, this is too expansive. It's too big. There's a deep spiritual undercurrent here. You're getting a download from the universe, it seems like to me. So here with the High Priestess as well, I think I'm gonna close this off. This is too expansive for a general reading. It may apply to some of you. It may not apply to some of you. If it does resonate with you on some level, you can send me a message if you want to, and we can sort of, we can bring this down. We can just, nail it down, bring it down to earth, and extract, the message that is being given to you specifically. So it could be some particular situation that you're getting, information, or there's some information here that, excuse me, that is there for you, but it really depends on your situation and your circumstance, or the questions that you may have, the issues that you're dealing with, and there's something specific there for you that you need to know. Excuse me, but there's something there. You're definitely getting something. You're getting something from the universe. There's a message there that's trying to get to you. But I can't give you that from a general reading. If it does resonate with you, of course, you can put it down in the comments if you want to. You can message me privately if you want to. And we can talk more about that if you like to. But yeah, it's very deep. I'm going to close this off, and I'm going to say that, with the High Priestess here, whatever it is that you're dealing with here, if you have any questions, if there's anything that's going on in your mind, if there's any questions about the higher perspectives here, if there are any questions here, if there's any unfinished business here that you have questions about, or maybe you're just revisiting your past, maybe you're just asking questions and, well, what, why did that happen, or why did this happen, or where does this success come from? There are deeper questions going on there for you. Always keep the High Priestess close to you. And how the heck do you do that? I hear you ask. The High Priestess, she represents that creative force that is present within each and every one of us. Quieten down all the noise, all the external noise of the world. Get rid of that. Be in a quiet place. And once you've gotten rid of all the external noise, there's going to be some internal noise that you're going to need to quieten down if that's possible for you. All right? You can do this in a number of ways. All right. For those of you who meditate, you don't need to be spiritual for this, but I mean, and by spiritual, I'm not talking about religious. Religion and spirituality for me are two completely different things. I don't deal with religion. I will quote from the scriptures, of course. I've read the scriptures, but my focus is spiritual. This is all spiritual. All right. If you meditate, you already know how to be in contact with the High Priestess. You already know that. But for those who don't, I think it's necessary. I think it's important, especially here for you, Virgo, in this particular reading. Begin that connection, initiate it, build that relationship with that creative force that is inside of you. Quieten down all the external noise. Quieten down the internal noise. And in that space, in the void, in the silence that is there, that's where you're going to find this. All right. And you don't need to have, some sort of amazing experience of it. She's there. She's always there. All right. But begin that dialogue. Just speak to the universe. Just ask questions. All right. Just speak. It's like prayer. You're just having a conversation. You're beginning that dialogue. All right. You're building that face. You're reconnecting again here. And just ask questions. And any decisions that you make, before any decision, if you have any questions that come up about your present circumstance or about your past, all right, or any deeper questions that you have about, you know, beyond, or even, you know, the origins of your existence, even all of this, if you have success, if you have this, whether this is you or whether it's somebody else coming into your life that is this, and then you can speak to that person and get advice from that person, whatever it is, any questions that you have, you know, you can consult with the high priestess, or you can give those questions over to the high priestess, and then, you know, just accept whatever comes back without question. You see? So begin that process. Whatever you've got going on here, build your connection with that creative force. All right? But this is very expansive. There's something deeper going on there for you this month, Virgo. There are deeper questions there. All right, listen, whatever it is, have a great month. And I will catch you in the next one. Be sure to like and subscribe and share this if you think that this is going to help somebody else. And I will catch you in the next one, all right? Take care.